Please keep going, you are so close. The very thing you have prayed for, the vision you have carried, the dream that has lived within you for so long, it is nearer than you can possibly imagine. The distance between where you stand and the reality you desire is not as vast as your senses may suggest. In fact, it is but a thin veil of doubt, a fragile curtain of unbelief that stands between you and its full manifestation. Do not allow discouragement to convince you that you are far away. You are not. The very pressure you feel, the very resistance you encounter, is evidence that the birth is near. Just as labor pains intensify before delivery, so too does the struggle intensify before the breakthrough. You must remind yourself that the unseen is more real than what your senses testify to. What you imagine and hold with conviction is already shaping itself in the invisible. Just because your outer eyes have not yet seen, it does not mean it is not already complete. The promise is already fulfilled in the eternal. It only waits for your persistence to bring it forth into time. Do not mistake delay for denial. Delay is only preparation. Delay is alignment. Delay is the unseen working itself into form. And so I say again, keep going, you are so close. Every time you persist in holding the image of your desire, you are watering the seed of creation. Each affirmation, each moment of dwelling in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, is a stroke of the brush painting the masterpiece of your life. You may not see the strokes at first, but soon the picture becomes clear, and what once was invisible stands undeniable before you. If you stop now, you abandon the garden right before harvest. If you quit now, you step away from the door just as it is about to open. The mind will tempt you with doubt. It will whisper that nothing is happening, that your efforts are in vain, that perhaps you have been foolish to believe. But do not listen. Doubt is the final test, the last shadow before dawn. When the night is darkest, the sunrise is near. When the silence feels unbearable, the voice of fulfillment is about to speak. That is why I urge you, stay with the vision. Remain faithful to the end. Feel what it would be like if it were already yours, because in truth it already is. Enter into that feeling not as a fleeting thought, but as a dwelling place. Walk in it. Live in it. Give thanks for it. Gratitude is the language of faith, and faith is the bridge that carries the unseen into the seen. Even if the evidence around you contradicts what you hold within, let the inner conviction speak louder than the outer world. The outer is only a shadow, the inner is the substance. Think of how many times you have been tempted to give up, only to later see that if you had held on just a little longer, the door would have opened. Think of how many people stop at the edge of victory because the discomfort convinces them that nothing is working. But you know better. You know that pressure means progress. You know that resistance is proof of nearness. You know that the invisible is already aligning on your behalf. So stand firm, breathe deeply, persist joyfully. The universe responds to unwavering conviction. Life bends to the one who refuses to let go of their dream. What you seek is seeking you, but it requires your steadfastness. Do not plant the seed and then dig it up in impatience. Do not abandon the process because the fruit is not yet visible. Trust the soil, trust the sun, trust the rain. Trust that the unseen forces are conspiring to bring forth exactly what you have conceived in imagination. You are closer than you think. Every heartbeat carries you nearer. Every moment of faith strengthens the reality of your desire. Do not retreat. Do not surrender to appearances. Appearances lie, but your inner knowing is true. That is why you must hold fast. That is why you must continue. That is why, above all else, you must not give up now. Please keep going. You are so close. The journey you are on is not without purpose. Every step you take, even the ones that feel heavy, even the ones that seem meaningless, are weaving together a story that will one day make sense in perfect clarity. The moments of doubt, the seasons of delay, the times when nothing seems to move, all of these are not evidence of failure, but proof that something unseen is happening beneath the surface. Just as the seed lies hidden in the soil, invisible to the human eye, and yet already transforming, so too is your desire at work in the invisible. To stop now would be to dig up the seed just before it breaks through the ground. To quit now would be to walk away from a treasure you are only a few inches from uncovering. The mind plays tricks when progress seems slow. It tells you that nothing is happening, that the silence is proof of abandonment. But silence is not absence. Silence is gestation. It is in the stillness that the unseen forces align, and it is in the quiet that your dream prepares its entry. Think of the artist who spends hours sketching invisible lines before the masterpiece is revealed. Think of the sculptor who chips away at the stone with patience, long before the form is visible. The masterpiece is not created in a moment, it is revealed in layers, so too is your desire. And because of this, you cannot afford to give in to the voice of impatience. You cannot afford to believe the illusion that nothing is happening. More is happening now than you realize. You are closer than you think. The very weight of resistance pressing against you is proof that you are near the threshold. Just before a breakthrough, pressure intensifies. Just before the dawn, the night is at its darkest. This is why so many turn away too soon. They feel the intensity and mistake it for defeat, when in truth it is the sign of arrival. The contractions are strongest before the birth. The resistance is sharpest before the release. If only you could see how close you are, you would not waste another moment doubting. You would not entertain the thought of quitting. You would rise with determination and declare, "I will hold on, for I am near the manifestation of what I have carried within." Your imagination is not idle. It is the creative power shaping your reality. Each time you enter into the feeling of your desire fulfilled, you are drawing the unseen closer into the scene. Each time you persist in that inner state, you are magnetizing the conditions, the people, the opportunities necessary to bring it forth. The world outside you is only a mirror reflecting what you persistently assume within. Do not let temporary appearances deceive you. They are old reflections, fading images of past states of mind. The new state you have chosen is already on its way to materialization. Be faithful to it, even when the world mocks you, even when your senses deny it. Faith is not wishful thinking. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. To persist in faith is to treat the unseen as more real than what your senses present. To walk by faith is to live from the end, to occupy the reality of your desire even before it is tangible. And when you do this with unwavering persistence, the outer world must conform. It cannot resist the command of inner conviction. So keep dwelling in the state of the wish fulfilled. Let it become your home. Let gratitude flow from you, as though you already hold in your hands what you once thought was far away. Gratitude is not reserved for after the blessing appears. It is the magnet that draws it in. The thankful heart declares, "It is done," even before the evidence shows. And life cannot help but honor the one who lives in this kind of faith. Yes, you will feel tired at times. Yes, you will feel tempted to let go. But that is only the residue of the old self that no longer serves you. Each moment of persistence is a death to the old and a birth to the new. Each time you resist the temptation to give up, you are proving to yourself that you are greater than your circumstances. And in that proving, you align yourself with the fulfillment that already exists. Think of the many who quit just before the finish line. Think of the countless who abandoned their vision because they believed the lie of delay. Do not join their number. Be the one who holds on. Be the one who persists. Be the one who sees beyond appearances and trusts the unseen. For it is not the one who starts the race that is crowned, but the one who finishes. And you are nearer to the finish than you know. The outer world may try to convince you otherwise. It may present lack, rejection, or resistance. But remember, the outer is only a reflection of past assumptions. It is the shadow of yesterday's state. Do not wrestle with shadows. Do not be dismayed by appearances. Instead, turn inward to the place of truth. There, within imagination, lies the reality already complete. Hold it, embrace it, live in it. And soon the shadow will align with the substance. When discouragement whispers, answer it with faith. When delay mocks you, remind yourself that time is not denial, but preparation. When resistance pushes, stand firm in the knowing that the very pressure you feel is the proof of progress. You are so close. Do not stop. Do not turn back. Keep moving in faith, keep dwelling in the end, keep giving thanks as though it were already done. Because it is done. The unseen is more real than what you see. The desire you carry is already yours. The only requirement is persistence. Not persistence in striving or struggle, but persistence in belief, persistence in feeling, persistence in living as though it was so. That is the great secret, to live now as though the desire were already fulfilled. And if you can remain in that state, unwavering, the outer world must yield. It has no choice but to conform to the inner conviction. So please keep going. You are so close. Do not rob yourself of the joy that awaits by surrendering to doubt. Do not abandon the process when you are at the threshold of breakthrough. Stand tall. Persist. Know that what you have imagined is real, and that soon you will stand in the full manifestation of it. Please keep going. You are so close. Every thought you hold in persistence, every inner act of faith, every vision you refuse to release is building a world around you. Even if you cannot yet see it with your outer eyes, it is already alive in the invisible. The world of spirit, the world of imagination, is the only true reality. What you sustain there will eventually take shape here. So when you feel the weariness creeping in, when you are tempted to think that all your affirmations and inner prayers are wasted, remember this: nothing is wasted. Every seed planted in consciousness is destined to bloom if you do not uproot it with doubt. Consider how many times in life you were on the edge of something new and yet could not see it. Think of the moments where despair whispered that nothing was happening, and yet later you discovered that everything had been moving beneath the surface all along. You were being prepared, aligned, strengthened. What seemed like delay was not delay at all. It was order. It was orchestration. It was perfection unfolding in silence. And now you stand again in such a moment. The heaviness you feel is not a sign of failure, but the pressure of birth. The intensity is proof that the dream is near. Please keep going. You are so close. Do not abandon the inner work now. Keep walking by faith, not by sight. Keep dwelling in the end, not in the appearances. Your senses will always try to testify against your vision. They will scream that nothing has changed. They will mock you with the evidence of lack, of delay, of contradiction. But the senses are not the final authority. They only reflect what was assumed yesterday. If you persist in your new assumption today, the reflection must change tomorrow. It is law. The outer cannot resist the inner forever. The mirror must bow to the image you hold within. When the voices of doubt grow louder, it is because the old self is dying. The mind clings to its familiar patterns, its familiar beliefs. It resists transformation because it fears the unknown. But the unknown is where your miracle waits. The unfamiliar is where the new creation is born. Step into it boldly. Walk into it with confidence. Do not let the discomfort of change deceive you. Growth always feels uncomfortable. Transformation always stretches. But this stretching is not destruction. It is expansion. You are expanding into the very reality you once only dreamed of. Keep going, for you are so close. Think of the miner who digs for gold. He may labor for years, removing stone after stone, with nothing but sweat to show for it. Yet the gold is there, lying just beyond the next strike of the pickaxe. If he quits now, all his labor is wasted. But if he persists, one more swing, one more strike, he uncovers the treasure that was always waiting. Such is your journey. Do not stop one strike away from your gold. Do not turn back when you are one step from the door. You may say, "But I am tired. I have been believing, imagining, persisting for so long." Yet the very fact that you are weary is proof that you have pressed against the old reality until it has begun to crack. The fatigue you feel is not a sign of defeat, but of nearing completion. It is the weariness of a runner who sees the finish line in the distance. It is the exhaustion of a mother moments before the child is born. And just as no mother gives up in labor, you too must push through this final stretch. For what is about to emerge will make every struggle worth it. Please keep going. You are so close. Do not measure progress with your senses. Do not demand signs and evidence at every turn. Trust the process. Trust the unseen. Trust that the moment you assume the state of your desire fulfilled, it was done. The rest is only the unfolding of what is already complete. You cannot rush the seasons. The farmer does not plant the seed today and harvest tomorrow. He trusts the soil, the rain, the sun, and the invisible process of growth. he waters, he waits, and he knows with certainty that the harvest will come. Do the same with your desire. Plant it in imagination, water it with faith, nurture it with gratitude, and wait in joyful expectation. The harvest must come. The great challenge is not whether your desire will manifest. It already exists. The only challenge is whether you will persist long enough to see it through. Whether you will keep holding the vision when all evidence denies it. Whether you will live in the end when the outer world shouts lack. That is the true test. And you are closer to passing it than you know. Keep walking as though it were already yours. Speak as though it were already yours. Feel as though it were already yours. And you will discover that it was yours all along, waiting only for you to claim it. This is not fantasy. This is law. Imagination creates reality. Inner conviction shapes the outer world. What you persist in assuming becomes fact. So I urge you, do not retreat. Do not doubt. Do not turn back. Stay with the vision until it takes on flesh. Stay with the assumption until it hardens into fact. Stay with the inner knowing until the outer bow to it. You are closer than your senses can tell you. You are nearer than your doubts can admit. You are standing on the threshold of the new reality you have been building. Please keep going, you are so close. And now let us draw everything together. The conclusion of all that has been spoken is this: you are far nearer to the realization of your desire than your outer senses would have you believe. The entire journey you have endured, the struggles, the delays, the disappointments were never meaningless. They were preparation, alignment, refinement. Every setback carried within it a hidden gift. Every silence concealed a deeper orchestration. And every delay was shaping you into the one who could fully receive what was already waiting in the unseen. The truth is simple yet profound. The moment you assumed your desire as real, it was finished. From that very instant, it existed in the invisible, fully alive, fully complete. What remained was your steadfastness, your ability to hold to the vision, to persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to continue living inwardly from the end until the outer world could no longer resist the shape of your inner conviction. The outer is slow to catch up, not because it denies you, but because it obeys law. Just as the seasons move in order, so too does manifestation. What is planted must sprout, what sprouts must grow, what grows must ripen, and what ripens must be harvested. You cannot short-circuit the process, but you can trust it with all your being. And that is why I say again, please keep going. You are closer now than ever. Every test of faith you have endured has not weakened you. It has strengthened you. Every time you chose to believe in spite of appearances, you exercised the muscle of faith. Every time you resisted the voice of doubt, you declared your loyalty to the unseen. Each moment you walked in gratitude for what was not yet visible, you drew it closer to visibility. You are not the same person you were when you began. You are stronger, clearer, more certain, more aligned. The very trials you resented have refined you into someone capable of holding the blessing you once thought impossible. Understand this: the resistance you feel now is the last shadow before dawn. The heaviness you carry is the final labor before birth. Do not misinterpret the pain of transformation as failure. It is the sign that you are on the threshold. The night is always coldest before the sunrise, but the sunrise always comes. And so will your desire, if only you will not abandon it in this sacred hour. To conclude is not to close, for the journey of faith has no true end. It is an eternal unfolding, a continual birthing of higher and greater realities. But in this moment, the call upon your life is simple: endure to the end. Hold fast to the vision that was given to you. Refuse to let appearances dictate your belief. Do not grow weary in well-doing, for in due season you shall reap if you faint not. The universe bends to the will of the one who persists. The unseen always yields to the steadfast. Reality cannot resist the one who lives unwaveringly in the end. So let this be your resolve, to live as though your desire were already yours. To walk with the quiet confidence that it is finished. To speak words of gratitude as if nothing were missing. To carry yourself with the dignity of one who already possesses what once was only imagined. For in truth, you do. You are only waiting for time to catch up with eternity, for the shadow to reflect the substance, for the outer to mirror the inner. Take comfort in knowing that you cannot fail if you persist. The law does not lie, the imagination does not deceive, and faith does not disappoint. What you desire is not far off, not in some distant future. It is here now, waiting for you to align, to believe, to persist. The distance is not measured in time or space, but in faith and assumption. Close that distance by living in the end now, and you will discover that you were never far from it at all. The conclusion of this journey is not despair, but triumph. Not giving up, but pressing through. Not bowing to appearances, but standing firm in inner knowing. Please keep going, for you are so close. And when the breakthrough comes, and it will, you will look back and see that every second of persistence, every moment of faith, every tear and every prayer was worth it. You will see that you were never alone, that the unseen was working for you all along, and that the dream you carried within you was carrying you all the while. So take heart, lift your head, strengthen your stance, keep your eyes fixed on the vision, and let no voice of doubt sway you. The reward is near, the fulfillment is sure, the manifestation is inevitable. Please keep going, you are so close. There exists within you a version of yourself that already knows the way, already holds the answer, already embodies the life you secretly long for. That self is not separate from you. It is not a stranger living in some distant realm. It is you in another arrangement of consciousness. And it whispers to you in the stillness, urging you to awaken to its reality. What you call desire is nothing more than the echo of that higher self calling you toward its world. The very thing you long for is proof that it already exists. For you could not hunger for something unless it was already prepared, already finished, already yours in another state of being. The parallel you, the greater you, has already seen the end. It has walked the path, it has experienced the joy, the freedom, the abundance, the love you crave. And it is asking you now to step into alignment, to shift your attention from the story of lack into the story of fulfillment. You do not need to build this self, for it is already complete. What you need is faith, imagination, and persistence to occupy its state. The secret is simple yet profound. What you accept as real within will harden into fact without. Every time you imagine, you touch that parallel self. Every time you dare to believe in what is unseen, you merge a little closer to its reality. Do not treat imagination as play. Do not dismiss the images that rise within as idle fantasy. They are the blueprint of your becoming. They are glimpses of the self that is calling you forward. What you see in your inner world, if persisted in, must one day appear in your outer world. This is law, and no one can escape it. You must learn not to avoid the call. For avoidance is the root of delay, and delay is simply self-denial. How often have you felt the nudge to rise above the old story, only to fall back into the comfort of complaint? How often have you glimpsed a vision of your greater life, only to dismiss it as too good to be true? That hesitation is the barrier between who you are and who you could be. The greater self is not waiting for conditions to align. It is waiting for your acceptance. The bridge between worlds is your assumption. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to step into the shoes of that parallel version of you. At first it may feel like play, like pretense, but persist and the pretense will dissolve into experience. Persist, and you will find that the world bends itself around your assumption. Persist, and what once felt like imagination will solidify into fact so naturally that you will wonder how you ever doubted it. The parallel self knows no limitation. It does not dwell in doubt, fear, or hesitation. It exists in wholeness, in certainty, in joy. To merge with it, you must surrender the small self that clings to lack. You must die to the old story and be born into the new. Every assumption you hold is a doorway. Every state you occupy is a reality. You are not bound to one version of yourself. You are infinite in possibility. When you imagine lovingly, when you choose faith over fear, when you persist in seeing yourself as already the one you wish to be, you have chosen to walk with your greater self. And in that walk, the impossible dissolves. What was once denied becomes natural. What was once distant becomes near. What was once a dream becomes the only reality. The question is not whether the greater version of you exists. It is whether you will answer its call. It is whether you will dare to assume that you are already it. It is whether you will persist when the senses deny, when the evidence mocks, when the world says otherwise. For the world is but a shadow, a mirror reflecting your inner arrangement. And if you persist in the inner, the outer must conform. You are being summoned to remember. To remember that your life is not a matter of chance but of choice. That the unseen is the true reality, and the seen is but its echo. That within you lies the power to step into the version of yourself that has already conquered, already risen, already attained. Do not turn away from that voice within that says, "This is who you truly are." Do not avoid the call of your own divinity. For the one who calls you is not separate. It is your own self waiting for you to awaken. There is a stirring within you, a quiet yet undeniable pulse that tells you that you are more than what you appear to be. You have felt it in moments of silence, when the noise of the world faded and your heart whispered that there is another reality waiting for you. That whisper is not imagination in the shallow sense. It is revelation. It is your greater self, the parallel version of you that has already stepped into the life you are yearning for. It is speaking across the veil of states, urging you not to shrink back, not to hide behind excuses, not to settle for less than the fullness of what you are. That voice is the sound of destiny. The parallel self is not an idea of philosophy or a trick of the mind. It is a real state of being. Every possibility you can imagine already exists in completion. Life is not created moment by moment. It is revealed, unfolded, brought into manifestation according to where you choose to dwell within. If you can imagine yourself living in joy, in abundance, in love, then that self already exists. The very act of imagining proves its existence. For nothing can be conceived that does not already exist as a reality, and if it exists, then you are capable of stepping into it. Yet many avoid the call. They hear the whisper but dismiss it as daydreaming. They feel the tug of destiny but retreat into the comfort of doubt. To avoid this call is to deny yourself. It is to reject your birthright. For you were not placed here to live in limitation, to wander in circles of lack and fear. You were placed here to awaken, to remember, to embody the fullness of the infinite. The parallel version of you is not merely a hope, it is a certainty. But it waits for you to claim it. How does one claim it? By assumption. By daring to feel now what you long to experience later. By living inwardly in the end, as if it were already true. For the mind is the only creative power, and feeling is the secret by which it molds reality. If you persist in the feeling of being the person you desire to be, the outer world must bend to that inner conviction. It may resist, it may delay, it may disguise itself as difficulty, but in the end it cannot refuse. The world is compelled to reflect your inner state. This is law, and it knows no exception. The challenge is not in the power itself, but in your willingness to remain faithful. It is easy to imagine for a moment, to hold the vision briefly, and then abandon it when the senses contradict. But persistence is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Every time you return to the assumption, every time you dwell again in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you strengthen the bond with that parallel self. You draw closer to the life that is already waiting for you. To avoid is to remain bound to the old, but to persist is to merge with the new. Consider that everything you now call your life was once imagination. There was a time when this moment, these surroundings, this circumstance were but a thought, an unseen arrangement. You once held the beliefs, the assumptions, the feelings that hardened into the facts you now call reality. If that is true of your past, it is equally true of your future. For the future is only the present rearranged. It is not yet visible, but it is already formed in the unseen, and you touch it every time you dare to feel it real. The parallel version of you has no doubts. It does not wonder if it is worthy, if it is possible, if it can truly be done. It knows, for it is already accomplished. And when you choose to occupy its state, that knowing becomes your own. You will feel the certainty rise in you, not because the outer has changed, but because the inner has shifted. And once the inner shifts, the outer has no choice but to follow. This is why imagination is sacred. It is not an escape from reality. It is the entrance into reality. It is the workshop of creation, the gateway to the higher self. To close the door of imagination is to cut yourself off from possibility. To open it and dwell within is to step into eternity. Do not be afraid to imagine boldly. Do not be afraid to feel the joy of your fulfilled desire now. For in doing so, you are not lying to yourself. You are aligning with truth. The world will tell you otherwise. It will say you must work harder, wait longer, struggle more. It will say that circumstances are fixed, that reality is solid, that you are limited. But the world is only a shadow. It has no life of its own. It moves according to the pattern of your inner state. If you wish to change the shadow, change the light within. If you wish to see a different reflection, assume a different identity. What you believe about yourself, you project upon the screen of the world. What you feel yourself to be, life cannot help but mirror. There will be moments of resistance. There will be times when the senses scream their denial, when the evidence points in the opposite direction. But do not waver. The test is not to see if the law works, but if you will remain faithful. The law cannot fail, but the self can falter. And when it does, simply return. Return again and again to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Return until it becomes natural, until it feels more real than the world of appearances. And when that happens, the outer will crumble and reform to match the inner. The parallel self is urging you not to delay. For every moment you dwell in doubt, you postpone the inevitable joy of fulfillment. You are not asked to create from nothing. You are asked to align with what already is. The treasure is already yours, hidden in the field of consciousness. You need only dig with the spade of faith and uncover it. What you long for is not coming from outside, it is rising from within. It is already planted, already blossoming, already complete in the unseen. To avoid this truth is to remain bound by illusion. To face it is to awaken to your own divinity. You are not a victim of fate, you are the author of destiny. You are not a prisoner of circumstance, you are the creator of states. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption is a seed. And the harvest is certain. If you would change the harvest, change the seed. If you would live another life, assume another self. The invitation is before you, to step into the parallel self that calls you, to dare to believe in what the senses cannot yet confirm, to persist until the unseen becomes seen. Do not wait for the world to give you permission. Do not wait for signs to appear before you believe. Believe, and the signs will follow. Assume, and the world will conform. Persist, and the impossible will bow before you. This is the secret the parallel self wants you to know, that nothing is withheld, that everything is finished, that you already are the one you seek to become. Stop avoiding the truth of your own power. Stop denying the whisper within. For the voice that calls you is not another, it is yourself clothed in glory, urging you to awaken. Step into that self now, and watch as the world rearranges itself to reflect the majesty of who you truly are. You stand at the threshold of infinite versions of yourself, and every choice, every assumption, every feeling you entertain is the key that opens one door and closes another. The you that struggles and doubts is no more real than the you that thrives and overcomes. Both exist side by side, waiting for you to decide which one you will inhabit. You may think you are bound to one path, one story, one identity, but the truth is you are free. Free to rise, free to change, free to assume, free to step into a new version of yourself at any moment you choose. That is the gift and the responsibility of being conscious. Life will always reflect the self you are most faithful to. Not the one you occasionally think about, not the one you momentarily imagine, but the one you consistently feel yourself to be. This is why many never see their desires fulfilled, not because the law has failed them, but because they return too often to the old self, to the old story. They imagine briefly and then surrender to doubt, and the doubt itself becomes their assumption. Yet even here, the greater self does not condemn. It waits patient and certain, calling you to return again to the truth of who you are. You must learn to value the unseen more than the seen. The senses will tell you the old story, but the imagination will reveal the new. If you judge by appearances, you will remain bound to appearances. If you judge by faith, you will transcend them. Every great change begins not in the outer world, but in the inner conviction. To see yourself differently, to feel yourself differently, to persist in that state despite what the senses say, that is the act of creation. And the outer world, though it may resist, cannot help but yield. The parallel self is not a fantasy, it is the deeper truth of your being. When you feel a longing rise in your heart, it is not a cruel trick. It is not the universe dangling what you cannot have. It is the echo of a reality already alive in another state of consciousness. You desire because it already is. You are drawn to it because it belongs to you. Desire is the proof of possession. The fact that you can imagine it means you are meant to experience it. Do not underestimate the power of imagination. The world has taught you to dismiss it as play, as idle daydreaming, as something that belongs to childhood. But imagination is creation itself. It is the seed of every invention, every breakthrough, every transformation. The greatest minds, the strongest leaders, the boldest souls all lived more in imagination than in appearances. They dared to believe in a vision unseen and lived in it until it clothed itself in facts. What you imagine with faith is the blueprint of your reality. What you persist in feeling must one day be externalized. Think of your imagination as a bridge. On one side stands the self you currently experience, with all its limitations and circumstances. On the other side stands the self you long to be, already complete and fulfilled. Every time you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, every time you imagine yourself as already that person, you step upon the bridge. At first it may feel like nothing is happening, but each step shifts you closer. And one day, without warning, you find yourself on the other side, living in the reality you once only dared to imagine. The shift is so seamless that you may forget you ever doubted. This is why persistence is essential. You cannot merely visit the new self, you must dwell in it. You cannot flirt with the state of fulfillment and then return to lack. You must remain faithful, even when nothing seems to change, especially when nothing seems to change. For in those moments, the unseen is at work, rearranging, unfolding, aligning. The old self resists, but the new self is stronger. The longer you remain in the new state, the weaker the grip of the old becomes, until it fades entirely, and you stand clothed in the new identity. Do not confuse delay with denial. When you persist in imagination, there is no such thing as denial. There may be time, there may be unfolding, there may be adjustments, but the end is certain. What you hold within will one day appear without. This is law, and law does not fail. The only question is whether you will remain faithful until it comes. Most abandon the vision too soon, not realizing how close they stand to the breakthrough. They let appearances convince them that nothing is happening, when in truth everything is happening beneath the surface. The parallel self urges you to remain steadfast. It whispers to you in the quiet, telling you that the life you seek is already yours, that the victory is already won, that the door is already open. You do not have to beg. You do not have to strive. You do not have to prove your worthiness. You need only assume. The universe does not respond to effort. It responds to state. And state is determined not by what you do, but by what you accept as true. Every time you say, I am, you are creating. Those two words are the key to every state. If you say, I am limited, I am afraid, I am lacking, then you clothe yourself in that reality. If you say, I am whole, I am abundant, I am free, then you align with the parallel self who already embodies those truths. Choose wisely what follows your I am. For it is not a statement of hope, it is a decree of being. And the world will echo back what you decree. When you face difficulty, do not see it as opposition but as confirmation. For challenges are often the final resistance before the breakthrough. The old state will attempt to pull you back, to test your faith, to convince you to surrender. But if you stand firm, if you remain faithful to the new self, the resistance will crumble. And when it does, the new reality will rush in, often in ways you could never have imagined. Life has a way of surprising those who dare to believe. You are not small. You are not powerless. You are not bound by the story you have been told. You are infinite consciousness, clothed for a moment in limitation, but capable of transcending it at will. The parallel version of you is proof of that truth. It shows you what you are capable of, what you already are beneath the surface. and it beckons you not to delay, not to avoid, not to doubt, but to step boldly into the state of fulfillment. If you would but spend even a few minutes each day dwelling in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, your entire life would transform. For a little faith, when persisted in, becomes great. A little light, when nourished, overcomes the darkness. Begin where you are. Imagine yourself as already living the life you long for. Feel it real. Let the joy of it fill your heart, the peace of it fill your mind, the certainty of it anchor your soul. And when the outer world denies it, return inward and feel again. For the outer world cannot resist forever. It must yield to the inner conviction. The voice within you is urging you to remember. Remember that you are the one who chooses. Remember that you are the one who assumes. Remember that you are the one who gives life to states by feeling them real. And remember that every state is already finished, already complete, already waiting for you to enter. Nothing is withheld. Everything is yours. The only question is whether you will accept it. Do not avoid the call. Do not shrink back in fear. Do not delay your destiny. For the parallel self is not a dream. It is your true identity. And it is calling you now to awaken, to rise, to remember, to step into the fullness of who you are. There is a truth that presses upon your spirit, a truth that no outer authority can give and no outer circumstance can erase. It is the truth that you are already living many versions of yourself, and the one you cling to by assumption is the one that hardens into fact. All the while, other versions of you are alive, waiting, urging, calling. They do not shout, they do not force, they simply exist in quiet completion, asking whether you will step into them by faith. The you that is healed, the you that is free, the you that is abundant, the you that is fulfilled. They all stand present now. They are not in a distant future. They are not in a faraway land. They are in this eternal moment, clothed in invisible substance, waiting for your agreement. The world has trained you to wait. It has taught you that life comes from outside, that conditions must align before change can occur. But the true self knows this is not so. Life does not wait for conditions. Life arranges conditions around your state of being. When you take hold of a new state, the entire universe bends itself to reflect that choice. Roads open, doors appear, people arrive, opportunities align. Not because they were absent before, but because you shifted into the self that sees them. What you call luck, what you call coincidence, is simply the outer echo of an inner transformation. You must not avoid this truth, for avoidance is the slow death of the soul. When you ignore the call of your greater self, you condemn yourself to repetition. The same struggles appear, the same disappointments arise, the same cycles return. Not because life is cruel, but because you have refused to assume a new self. Every state has its own patterns, its own experiences, its own outcomes. If you persist in the state of lack, you must experience the fruit of lack. If you persist in the state of fear, you must see its shadow at every turn. But if you dare to persist in the state of fulfillment, the harvest must come, even if the seed is buried now in darkness. The parallel you is already enjoying the harvest. The abundance is already his, the joy is already hers, the fulfillment is already theirs. That self is not hoping, not waiting, not struggling, it is complete. And when you align with that state, when you accept its feeling as your own, you are no longer reaching for it, you are living from it. That is the shift that changes everything. To reach is to affirm distance, but to live from is to declare oneness. And life can only reflect what you live from. This is why it is said that assumption, when persisted in, becomes fact. You cannot dwell in a state without drawing its world to you. The outer must conform to the inner arrangement. The law does not ask whether you are worthy. It does not ask whether you are ready. It simply reflects the state you most faithfully embody. And so the question is never can I, but will I? Will you dare to assume a greater self, even when the evidence denies it? Will you dare to hold fast to the unseen, even when the seen mocks? Will you dare to remain faithful to the vision, even when delay tempts you to doubt? To answer yes is to walk with your greater self. To answer yes is to take the hand of the parallel you who already stands in victory. That self will not walk for you, but it will walk with you as you assume its identity. It will guide you through the imagination, through the feeling, through the faith that transcends appearances. Every time you return to the vision, you are choosing to walk with it. Every time you surrender to doubt, you step back into the old. But even then, the greater self does not abandon you. It waits unshaken, unchanged, ever ready to be assumed again. Think of how many times you have shifted already. There was a time when you were a child, and the state of childhood defined your world. Then you became a teenager, then an adult, and with each shift came new experiences, new responsibilities, new circumstances. Did you notice how natural those transitions felt? You did not force the world to change. The change of state caused the world to reflect your new identity. The same is true now. To shift into a parallel self is no different than shifting from childhood to adulthood. It feels unfamiliar at first, but soon it becomes natural, and the world around you reorganizes accordingly. The imagination is the bridge that carries you across. If you would live as the fulfilled self, you must first imagine yourself as that self. If you would taste the joy of abundance, you must first feel abundant within. Do not wait for proof comes after faith, not before. Faith is not blind, it is vision beyond the senses. It sees what the eyes cannot yet see. It feels what the hands cannot yet touch. It hears what the ears cannot yet detect. Faith is the language of the parallel self, and imagination is its doorway. Do not fear that you are deceiving yourself. To assume a greater self is not deception. It is alignment. You are not lying to yourself when you imagine joy in the midst of sorrow. You are stepping into the version of you that already knows joy. You are not pretending when you assume abundance. While the bank account is low, you are identifying with the self that already lives in abundance. And when you persist in that identification, the outer world cannot help but confirm it. What begins in imagination ends in fact, as naturally as seed becomes harvest. Every time you say, I am, you are declaring which self you will embody. These two simple words carry the weight of creation. If you say, I am weak, then weakness must follow you. If you say, I am strong, then strength must rise within and around you. If you say, I am poor, then poverty clings to your steps. If you say, I am rich, then wealth finds its way to your door. You may not see the shift immediately, but the world is always rearranging itself to mirror your I am. This is why you must guard your words, guard your thoughts, guard your assumptions. For they are not idle, they are creative acts. When the senses contradict, remind yourself that appearances are shadows, not substance. The substance is within, in the feeling you dare to persist in. Do not measure progress by what you see, for what you see is the echo of what you have been. Measure progress by what you feel, by how consistently you dwell in the new state. For as you persist in feeling, the scene must conform. The outer cannot resist forever. It must yield to the inner decree. The parallel self longs for you to remember this, not as theory, but as practice. Knowledge alone will not shift you. You must apply it daily, faithfully, persistently. Each morning, assume the state of the one you desire to be. Each night, fall asleep clothed in the feeling of fulfillment. In quiet moments throughout the day, return again to the vision, even for a minute, even for a second. These small acts build momentum. These small assumptions weave the fabric of your new reality. And one day, you will awaken to find that the old self has faded and the new self stands revealed. This is not a journey of miles, but of moments. It is not a struggle of force, but of faith. The parallel you is not waiting in the distance. It is here, now, whispering in your heart, urging you to take hold of it by assumption. Do not delay, do not avoid, do not hide from the call. For the life you long for is already yours. The question is only whether you will accept it, whether you will persist in it, whether you will live from it until it becomes fact. The greater self does not doubt you. It knows you are capable, it knows you are worthy, it knows you are ready. The only thing that stands between you and it is belief. Believe and you become, assume and you transform. Persist and you will see the world bend to reflect the glory of the self that was always yours. The truth is simple, yet it demands your courage. You are not waiting for a new version of yourself to be created. You are deciding which version you will embody. The parallel self you long for already exists, complete in every detail, living in the state you desire. It is not distant, it is not uncertain, it is here and now, waiting for your recognition. When you dare to assume its feeling, when you choose to walk in its certainty, when you persist in its identity, the world will have no choice but to reflect it. Do not delay your own awakening. Do not waste another moment bowing to appearances or giving power to circumstances. Lift your eyes inward and see that the greater you is already alive, already victorious, already whole. Claim it, feel it, live from it, and let the outer world rearrange itself around the truth of your assumption. The call has always been there. The door has always been open. The self you seek is already yours. Step into it now and let the fullness of life reveal itself through you.
What you focus on, you attract. This is not simply a clever phrase to inspire motivation, but a divine law woven into the very fabric of creation. The scriptures declare, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." What fills the heart? That which the mind continually ponders, the images it embraces, the feelings it nourishes. Whatever you hold in the secret chamber of your soul will surely manifest in your outer world. For the unseen governs the seen, and the invisible thoughts of your spirit shape the visible conditions of your life. If you live in fear, you will draw to yourself the very circumstances that echo that fear. If you live in faith, you will draw to yourself the blessings that align with faith. The kingdom of heaven is not a distant place, it is within you. And this kingdom is activated when you dwell upon it, when you set your affection on things above, not on things below. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also, and where your heart abides, your life must follow. Look at your own experience, and you will see this law at work. Have you not noticed that when you constantly worry about lack, lack multiplies? When you rehearse disappointment, disappointment finds its way to your door. And yet when you fill your soul with thanksgiving, when you choose to believe in abundance, opportunities come, doors open, and provision flows as though it were waiting for your call. Nothing in this world is by accident, it is all by attraction. What you give your focus to, whether in faith or in fear, will find a way to meet you. This is why the Lord commanded, "Be still and know that I am God." For in stillness you learn to shift your focus from the storm to the Master who calms the storm. The disciples, in their fear, focused on the waves, and the waves threatened to swallow them. But when the Master arose and spoke peace, the sea obeyed. If only they had focused not on the storm, but on the presence of the one who was with them, they would have rested even as he rested. So it is with you. Whatever storm may rage in your life, your focus decides whether you sink in fear or walk on water in faith. Faith is not blind. Faith is vision, seeing with the eyes of the Spirit what the natural eye cannot yet behold. Faith chooses its focus and clings to it, even when appearances scream the opposite. The woman with the issue of blood pressed through the crowd, for her focus was not on her weakness, not on her shame, but on the hem of his garment. And because her focus was on healing, she drew healing into her body. The centurion focused not on the distance between himself and Christ, but on the authority of the Word, and he attracted the miracle without Christ even entering his home. These are not tales of long ago, they are revelations of a living principle. What you focus on, you attract. When you pray, you are not begging heaven for something withheld. You are shifting your focus from the visible to the invisible, from lack to abundance, from sickness to health, from bondage to liberty. Prayer is the redirection of your inner eye, the fixing of your attention upon the promises of God, rather than the threats of circumstance. And once your heart truly sees it, once your spirit embraces it, your outer world must conform. For the word says, "Whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours." Notice carefully, believe that you have received. This is focus. You are asked to hold within yourself the reality of the answered prayer before it shows itself in the flesh. To believe is to focus so fully that the unseen becomes more real to you than the seen. This is why many pray without receiving, for their lips petition, but their hearts focus on the opposite. They ask for health while focusing on sickness, ask for provision while dwelling on lack, ask for peace while rehearsing turmoil. Their outward prayer is cancelled by their inward focus. But to the one who shifts the eyes of the soul, who meditates day and night on the goodness of the Lord, the answer is inevitable. For the law of the Spirit is sure. What you focus on, you attract. Consider the parable of the sower. The seed is the word, but the soil is the heart. What determines the harvest is not the seed, for the seed is perfect, but the condition of the soil. If your heart is cluttered with thorns, thoughts of worry, bitterness, unbelief, those are the things you will multiply. If your heart is hardened, indifferent to the promises of God, the seed finds no root. But if your heart is good soil, if you focus on the word, nurture it, protect it from distractions, it must bear fruit 30-fold, 60-fold, 100-fold. The soil attracts according to its focus. This is why the Lord said, "Take no thought, saying, What shall we eat? What shall we drink? What shall we wear? For your Father knows you have need of these things." Instead, he said, "Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." He was not teaching neglect of daily needs, but the divine order of focus. Set your gaze on the kingdom within, and the necessities of life will be drawn to you as surely as a shadow follows the body. But if you fix your attention on worry, you shut the door to provision. Your imagination is the womb of your spirit. It conceives what you dwell upon, and in time it births it into the visible world. When you meditate on fear, you impregnate your soul with fear, and soon you birth the very experience of it. But when you meditate on God's promises, when you picture yourself living in the reality of His Word, you conceive life, blessing, and peace. As Mary received the word of the angel and said, "Be it unto me according to your word," so must you receive the promises into the womb of your imagination and hold them there until Christ is formed in you. Then, without strain, you will give birth to the very life you envisioned, for your focus attracts. Do not say this is too difficult, for the Spirit of God dwells in you to teach you and remind you of all truth. Your part is simply to choose your focus, to guard the gates of your heart, and to resist the temptation to fix your eyes on the fleeting troubles of this world. Lift up your eyes to the hills, from whence comes your help. Let your meditation be upon His goodness. Let your conversation be filled with thanksgiving, and let your inner vision be filled with light, for if your eye is single, your whole body will be full of light. The enemy will always seek to capture your focus, to lure your attention to what is dying, failing, or threatening. But you have the power to resist, for you are not a victim of circumstance. You are a child of the Most High, created in His image, endowed with His Spirit. If He framed the worlds by His word, will He not also empower you to frame your world by your focus? Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and the tongue speaks from the abundance of the heart. Guard your heart, then, for out of it flow the issues of life. Whatever issues forth in your life is but the reflection of what your heart has focused on. When you find yourself surrounded by darkness, do not curse the darkness, but turn your focus to the light. For light has no struggle with darkness, it simply shines and darkness flees. The same power rests in you. Set your mind on Christ, who is your life, and see how swiftly fear dissipates, how quickly confusion yields to peace. Your focus is not passive, it is creative. It draws from the eternal realm into the temporal. It calls those things that are not as though they were until they become. Many cry out, "Lord, change my circumstances." But the Lord whispers, "Change your focus. For your circumstances are but the shadows cast by your inner life. Shift the inner, and the outer will rearrange itself." A man who focuses on joy in the Lord, though surrounded by troubles, finds strength to endure and soon sees deliverance. A woman who focuses on God's provision, though her purse is empty, finds unexpected supply. For the Lord has already declared, "According to your faith be it unto you." Faith is focus, and focus attracts. Do not think this law is reserved only for the great saints or prophets. It is written into the life of every believer. Even the smallest seed of faith, when focused upon, grows into a mighty tree. The mustard seed is small, but when planted and nurtured, it becomes greater than the herbs of the garden and provides shelter for many. So is the power of your focus. Though your faith may feel small, when you choose to keep your eyes on the Lord, when you turn from fear and hold fast to His promise, your faith grows until it shelters your entire life. Nothing can resist the one whose attention is fixed upon God, for such a one is aligned with the very source of life. Think of Peter when he stepped out of the boat. As long as his eyes were on Christ, he walked on the water. The impossible became possible because his focus drew the reality of divine power into manifestation. But the moment he turned his attention to the wind and the waves, he began to sink. The water did not change, the storm did not suddenly become stronger. What changed was his focus. And what he focused on, he attracted. Focus on the storm, and the storm swallows you. Focus on the Christ, and you rise above the storm. So it is with you. Every day you are invited to choose: will you look at the winds of life, or will you look at the one who commands them? The enemy delights in distracting you, not because he has power to destroy you, but because if he can capture your focus, he knows he can shape your experience. If you spend your days rehearsing failure, he will see to it that failure appears before you. If you dwell on bitterness, he will ensure you meet situations that justify your bitterness. Yet if you lift your gaze to Christ, the enemy is rendered powerless, for no scheme can touch the one who is hidden in the Lord. Resist him, therefore, not with striving, but by fixing your heart on truth. The light of God's word dissolves the lies of the adversary. The peace of Christ disarms the storm of fear. The joy of the Lord scatters despair like chaff in the wind. And all this is drawn to you when you choose your focus wisely. Scripture says, "Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things." This is not an abstract command, but a living strategy. Your spirit was designed to dwell in communion with God, and when your mind is set above, heaven flows into earth through you. This is why Paul, even in prison, wrote letters overflowing with joy. Though bound in chains outwardly, his focus was on Christ, and therefore he attracted strength, revelation, and grace that continue to bless generations. Outwardly limited, inwardly free, outwardly captive, inwardly reigning. Such is the power of focus. When your attention is on Christ, nothing in this world can bind you. Let us consider also the power of thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is focus made vocal. It is the deliberate choice to magnify God's goodness instead of rehearsing complaint. When you thank God in advance for what you believe, you are aligning your focus with His promise, and you draw that promise into manifestation. Paul wrote, "In everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God." Thanksgiving seals your prayer, for it reveals that your focus is on the answer, not the problem. A heart that continually gives thanks will continually attract blessing, for it dwells in the vibration of faith. Think of the Israelites in the wilderness. They saw miracles: manna from heaven, water from the rock, deliverance from enemies. Yet because their focus remained on lack, they attracted judgment rather than promise. They complained, and their complaints multiplied. They desired the onions and garlic of Egypt more than the milk and honey of Canaan, and so they remained wandering. Their story is written as a warning: whatever you magnify becomes your reality. If you magnify bondage, you remain in it. If you magnify freedom, you walk into it. If you magnify the problem grows. If you magnify the Lord, His power fills your life. Your mind is like a lamp, and where you direct it, light shines. Focus is simply the turning of that lamp. If you turn it upon fear, fear grows brighter. If you turn it upon Christ, His glory illuminates your path. The choice is yours daily, moment by moment. You may not control every circumstance, but you always control your focus. And in controlling your focus, you control the atmosphere of your life. Even in the darkest dungeon, Paul and Silas chose to focus on praise. At midnight they sang hymns, and heaven responded with an earthquake that shook the foundations of the prison and opened every door. The chains fell because their focus was not on their bondage but on their deliverer. You too can sing at midnight. You too can praise in the midst of trial. And when you do, the same God will shake the foundations of your prison and set you free. Many seek signs and wonders, but the true wonder is the transformation of the heart. When your focus shifts, your world shifts. You may still walk the same streets, speak with the same people, labor in the same place, but everything changes because you have changed. A bitter soul sees bitterness everywhere. A grateful soul sees blessing everywhere. A fearful heart sees danger. A faithful heart sees opportunity. Two people can stand in the same situation, yet one sees defeat and the other sees victory. What separates them? Their focus. And their focus determines what they attract. Christ taught, "If you have faith as a grain of mustard seed, you shall say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it shall move, and nothing shall be impossible to you." What is this but focus? To speak to the mountain with faith is to hold unwavering attention on the power of God rather than the size of the mountain. It is to see the mountain already move, to speak as one who believes it is done. And when this focus fills your heart, the mountain obeys. For mountains are not greater than the Word. They are subject to the one who focuses on the eternal power of God. Do not wait for your feelings to align before you shift your focus. Feelings follow focus, not the other way around. If you fix your eyes on sorrow, you will feel sorrow. If you fix your eyes on joy, your heart will begin to stir with gladness. If you focus on what you lack, discontent will multiply. If you focus on the abundance of God, gratitude will overflow. Feelings are the echo of focus. Train your focus, and your emotions will follow. Train your emotions, and your actions will follow. Train your actions, and your life will be transformed. But it all begins with focus. For what you focus on, you attract. Meditation is the art of focus. To meditate on the Word is to feed your spirit with truth until it overflows into every part of your being. The Lord commanded Joshua, "This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, for then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you shall have good success." Prosperity and success follow meditation, for meditation fixes your focus on God's Word until it becomes your reality. It is not the world that decides your success, it is your focus. When you meditate on the Word, you attract the life of the Word. When you meditate on fear, you attract the life of fear. Choose wisely, for the harvest is determined by the seed you allow to take root in your heart. Imagine the farmer who plants wheat. He does not expect corn, nor does he doubt whether wheat will come. He knows that what he plants, he will reap. Likewise, when you sow thoughts of love, you attract love. When you sow thoughts of hope, you attract hope. When you sow thoughts of victory, you attract victory. It is impossible to sow one thing and reap another. Do not be deceived, God is not mocked. Whatever a man sows, that he shall also reap. Your focus is the sowing of your inner field, and your life is the harvest. If you do not like the harvest, change the seed. Change your focus, and the harvest will surely change. Think also of Christ feeding the 5,000. The disciples saw only 5 loaves and 2 fish, and their focus was on insufficiency. But Christ looked up to heaven, gave thanks, and blessed the bread. His focus was not on what was lacking, but on the sufficiency of God. And the little they had multiplied until all were fed and baskets remained. You see, the miracle was not in the bread alone, but in the focus of the Master. He focused on abundance, and abundance was attracted. The same principle holds for you. Stop gazing at your insufficiency and lift your eyes to the sufficiency of God. Give thanks for the little, and you will draw the much. Do not despise the day of small beginnings. What seems small in your hand is mighty in the hand of God, but your focus decides whether it remains small or multiplies. Focus on the smallness, and it withers. Focus on the greatness of God, and it grows beyond measure. The widow had only a jar of oil, but when she focused on the word of the prophet and acted in faith, the oil flowed until every vessel was filled. The boy had only 5 loaves and 2 fish, but placed in the hands of the one whose focus was heavenward, it became a feast. Your small seed, your small gift, your small opportunity, placed in the atmosphere of faith, will multiply beyond what you imagine. Let your speech, then, align with your focus, for words are the overflow of the heart, and spoken words attract according to their content. Speak life, and you attract life. Speak death, and you attract death. Do not say, I am weak, but say, let the weak say, I am strong. Do not say, I am poor, but declare, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Do not say, I am defeated, but proclaim, thanks be to God, who always leads us in triumph. Your words are seeds, and when spoken in faith, they draw the invisible into the visible. The power of life and death is in the tongue, and your focus gives birth to your words. Beloved, you are not a victim of chance, nor are you at the mercy of the world around you. You are a child of the Most High God, created in His image, filled with His Spirit, and called to walk in His promises. The life you live springs forth from the thoughts you harbor, the meditations you embrace, the faith you hold, and the words you speak. What you focus on, you attract, and when your focus is on Christ, you attract His life, His peace, His joy, and His victory. Therefore, lift your eyes from the shadows of fear and turn them to the light of His truth. Let your heart dwell not on lack, but on abundance, not on sorrow, but on joy, not on bondage, but on freedom. For as you set your affection on things above, heaven will manifest in your life on earth. Walk in this truth, guard your focus, and know that the God who began a good work in you is faithful to bring it to completion. Fix your gaze on Him, and you will surely see His promises fulfilled, for He is faithful who has promised.